Hey, welcome everybody to episode number 48 of the Wulong Talks podcast. My name is Jason. I'm the host of the show, as you know. We hope you're doing well this fine evening if you're listening to us at an evening, of course, because you may not be. As usual, I'm joined by my buddies in arms and my cohorts up north, the Man Geek Big A. Big A, say what's up?
What is up? What's going on?
Wicked. And down south with me, we've got the Rustling Kid, aka Rich, in the house as well. Rich, say what's up, man.
Yeah, what's happening, people?
Cool. Yeah, man. How you guys doing? How you been? Been up to anything good this week? Anything geeky? Anything interesting?
Um,
Movies.
I started this Dear White People season 2. That's good. In fact, you know what? Yeah, is that good? Is that good that I fucking forgot how good it was? And I watched like the first episode, and you know what? Have you ever watched a show that when you watch it and you're just like, shit, man, I missed you. Like I got emotional watching the first episode, then I rewatched the first episode. That's how bad it was. And so I've started watching that if that's geeky enough.
Yeah, of course it is. It's a Netflix show.
Yeah. Had a catch up on some comic books that I've been sitting there just collecting some dust and whatnot. So I'm happy for that. Got to go do another pickup this week at some point. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool. Alf, how about you, man? What you been up to?
Yeah, I watched Batman Ninja. Fucking hated it. I could not stand it. Multiple things, man. Like the kind of 3D animation that they chose to do, the style of it, it just looked lazy and like I like the character designs, but the story was just it didn't know what the fuck it wanted to do. And so yeah, I was just watching it and I just started frowning at one point. And yeah, I just did not like it. I hope the death of Superman is good, but I mean, I already know that story anyway, so that's the next one that they're bringing out in it. But I don't know, we'll see. Obviously, a bit of gaming here and there and whatnot, and just general internet bullshit.
Cool, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I finished off Atlanta this week. Watched the last episode.
Oh crap! Has the last episode come on already? Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to do that. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, no, it was really good, man. It was a really good episode and a very fitting end. I don't know if that's the end of the show altogether.
It better not be.
I hope not. I hope it's not. But you know, it looks like Donald Glover's star is about to take off, so I don't know if he's going to have time to be doing Atlanta as well as other things. But I suspect Atlanta is quite close to his heart, so you know he may well want to continue with that in one way or another. So. Yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I really enjoyed that, man. And then aside from that, what else did I do? I was trying to dodge trailers for Call of Duty Black Ops 4 because like I just I absolutely do not want to buy the game. So I'm just like I don't want to see anything of it. And then I think it was on my Facebook. And you know, sometimes like videos just kind of adverts just pop up on your Facebook as you're scrolling down. So I was scrolling down, and then lo and behold, the advert fucking popped up for it like immediately, and I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" So I thought, all right, well, I might as well watch it. And I was like, "This is literally the same shit." Like, I know I keep having this rant in every episode, and listeners, I'm sorry. I know you must be bored of me going on about Call of Duty, and if you're a Call of Duty fan, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend you, but it's the same shit every single time. Like, I don't get it. I don't get how they keep making $3, $4, $5 million in sales on this game when they reskin it and then stick it out again, and everybody goes and loses their shit for it. I don't understand. Like, who keeps buying this game? But anyway, yeah, there's another one of those coming out, and I think it'll be out in November or something like that, apparently. I mean, the Black Ops kind of subtitle stuff was at least a little bit more interesting than the main Call of Duty stuff. But again, it just, I don't know. I think they've changed something with multiplayer on this one or something like that. But otherwise, yeah, I don't care. I saw a video for Becoming Human as well, which looks more and more interesting to me the more I see it. So I think that might be a game I get actually.
Is that the one set in the future where it's about the uprising of the robots?
It's with like androids who work with people and things like that, and then it kind of the storyline seems to be an uprising amongst the androids. I'm kind of looking forward to it actually. So I think I might check that out. I downloaded the demo and I just haven't even cracked it open.
Oh, the demo's out. Thank you very much. I'm downloading that shit tonight.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
right?
it's been out for a little while. Yeah,
A few weeks.
Oh, okay. Ah.
yeah, it's been out for a little while, man. So,
Oh yeah, shit. The Royals got married as well, innit? Don't forget that, man.
yay! Like,
The
I'm not a
Royals.
Did you
royalist.
watch
So I
it?
don't
I didn't
care.
watch it, man.
No,
I was busy watching
I don't
BFG.
care. I'm not a royalist. I don't care.
Listen, I'm not a royalist, but at least we can now say that there's at least 1/8 of Wakanda inside the royal family. So let's just let's just roll with that, innit? Or should we say that the royal family is inside Wakanda? I don't know if I'm being facetious there.
You take what you can get, innit? Take what I can get, mate. Take what I can get. All right, man. Well, yeah, let's get started because there's a lot of stuff that we've got to get through, listeners. There's been quite a few trailers released, and unfortunately, we weren't able to react to all of these at once. So we'll give you our thoughts on them now as we get through the podcast episode. But before we do that, we just wanted to take a quick moment as well to remember the actress Margot Kidder, who sadly passed away last week Sunday. From what I understand, she passed away quite peacefully with her family around her. For those of you that don't know, Margot Kidder is the actress who's probably best known for playing Lois Lane in the original Superman movies. She was somebody who kind of really embodied that character in a way that I don't personally think anybody else has done since on screen. With exception of maybe the actress who voiced her on the Superman animated show. But even then, I don't think it really comes close. I think Margot Kidder was kind of the definitive Lois Lane, really. And if you've never seen her play Lois Lane, then go onto YouTube and have a look at some of the clips from that movie and from her portrayal. It really was something that captured the imagination of everybody who saw those movies back then. Rich, I know you're a big Superman fan, and particularly of the original Donner movies, and they're absolute classic movies, as we all agree. Could you just say a little bit about kind of Margot Kidder's portrayal as Lois Lane and why it's kind of so important, I guess, even today?
You know what? I think it is just the thing about Margot Kidder's portrayal of Lois Lane is that it's never been topped. So you've got like a generation of people that will say that, the one who played this is how bad it is. I can't remember everyone that's played Lois Lane since Margot Kidder. And I'm a big fucking Superman fan. I think Terry Hatcher did a pretty decent job. And like you said, you've got like the animated series, but they were all imitations for what Margot Kidder brought in the 70s and the 80s. It's the same reason why, to a certain degree, like why the Joker in the animated series works so well. It's because he is kind of based off that whole, the Jack Nicholson type of thing. Although Mark Hamill has put like a really, really good spin in it and just made it his own, which is also good. But Margot Kidder, she just, as much as she might have been the damsel in distress that Lois Lane is known to be, she also brought like a very, very strong, independent female attitude to the character of Lois Lane. And I think when I watched the first Superman, there's particular scenes that just cement why some of these characters can never be portrayed by somebody else and topped. And I think there's, and throughout the first Superman, or even the first two Superman films, is not just one scene that just says, okay, no one can take this role. They own it from the beginning, from the first time we see them till when the end credits roll. And I think one of the best scenes for me for Margot Kidder portraying Lois Lane is her just being in the office when Clark Kent comes in to, he's introducing himself as, he's got the new role that Perry White has put out, and Margot Kidder's there, and she's, I think she's having a smoke because you're allowed to smoke in buildings back then, and she's just she's just not your normal, in quotation marks, just like your normal typical female who's weak and is like, hey boss, whatever. She knows how to hold her own, especially the job that she has, which is very much a man's world. And I think that's one of the things that people always seem to forget is like, there's a certain privilege that men have to a certain, well, not men have to a certain degree, that men have in very, very particular places. So to even put her in the job role that she has and portray her in that way, she generally stood head and shoulders with the characters in the Daily Planet, if not above. And but there's another scene where her and Clark are walking somewhere, and I think they get mugged or something like that. And Lois Lane basically, instead of like just bowing down and saying, okay, listen, take my wallet and take my purse and shit, she does something to try and to try and distract the mugger, to get him out the way so they can run away. But then obviously the mugger's a bit too fast and he pulls the trigger, and then Clark catches the bullets. But it's that type of thing where it's just like she was just a fucking strong woman, and she didn't have to show any skin or get dressed up in a bikini to do any of that. But she was just still like just so fucking beautiful and just strong at the same time. And I don't think we don't get enough of that. We generally don't. Like she didn't have to throw fisticuffs to show how tough she was. She was just tough in the way how she portrayed herself, and she just held herself. And I genuinely do believe that no one's going to be able to touch that. Like no one's done anything that can equal how she portrayed the character of Lois Lane on screen.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree. Alvin, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, just well, not really to add, but just to kind of echo what he said. Like, definitely about the her being like a strong female character, or what I prefer to call it is just a well-rounded character, and the fact that they're female doesn't really matter. And she was just like, she's kind of like a bull in a china shop, but in a nice way. She just got shit done, especially when it came to her work and all that. And I think Margot Kidder did a good kind of portrayal of kind of Lois, kind of just like, I guess at the time, well, it was less of a man's world, but let's just call it a man's world anyway, of being able to kind of get ahead and be respected in her field and all that. And I think that's actually something to kind of like a lot of people can aspire to, just to kind of like go out there and get your shit done and like be the best. And she's just a hardworking individual. You can't not look at that and dig what Lois Lane is all about. And so for Margot Kidder to bring that to and just to bring that independence and strongness to her, and be a well-rounded character as well, that's phenomenal. And regardless to whether people like remember Margot Kidder from the Superman movies or anything else, or any of the kind of issues that she had later on in life, it doesn't matter what you remember her from, as long as you remember what she has done and what she's been in, and like you have respect for it, then it's all good, isn't it?
For true, man. So yeah, as said, listeners, if you don't know anything about her, I mean, there's plenty of information about her and her life and the kind of things that she did and she experienced. And one of the things that comes through about her and her life is that she always believed in living her life to the fullest, and she certainly did that. From the moment she kind of started her career right up until the day she passed. She never kind of let any barriers stop her from doing what she wanted to do. She was also quite a political activist in her later years as well. I remember her getting quite angry about the war in Iraq at certain points, and kind of campaigning against that. But she also carried on acting as well. She appeared in Rob Zombie's Halloween remake. In Halloween 2, she had an appearance in that. She did appear in Smallville as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So she did carry on, her career up to a certain point. But yeah, absolutely, listeners. As said, make sure you go out and check out some of Margot Kidder's work, because she really was one of a kind in terms of the type of actress she was and the performance that she gave. And as the guys have said, her Lois Lane is pretty much the definitive one. It's the standard that anybody else who embodies that role will be judged against. So yeah, rest in peace, dear Margot Kidder. All right, let's move on, man, and get into some fun stuff now. So, as we said, there's been loads and loads of trailers that have come out recently. So we're going to rattle through our reactions to some of these as quickly as possible. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to put up a list of the trailers that we looked at as well. So for those of you who want to watch what we've watched and get a sense of what we're talking about, you'll be able to do that once the podcast is live. So that will all be out there for you. So we'll start at the top, boys. We had, of course, the first... I believe it's the first teaser trailer rather than the first official trailer for the long-awaited Predator, or The Predator as it's being called. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I saw that trailer and I was like, oh my Lord, this looks terrible. Like, I really felt it looked bad. Like, I didn't here's the thing, right? There's a couple of things about this Predator reboot that are bothering me. One is that I get the feeling that what they're going to do is change the whole lore of the Outja. Which, you know, for those of you who are listening who are Predator fans, you'll know that in the comic books by you know, that were published by Dark Horse, and in some of the novels, and even in some of the video games, they've really expanded upon the mythology behind the Outja, the Predator, and you know how they function as individuals and as a group, and how they come from a specific planet with a specific meritocracy and order, and you know, and these are all kind of things that people really found fascinating, and were things that we wanted to kind of see on screen. And it seems already in this trailer as if they've kind of done a 180 and have tried to skate over all of that and almost do a soft reboot. There's this whole idea that they seem to be coming to planets to boost their own DNA, to kind of, you know, change their DNA, to change their genetic structure, to make improvements to themselves. And that apparently is the reason why they like to remove spines of beings and things that they capture. And that just kind of ruins the whole fucking mystique for me right there. Like that really did piss me off. Another thing that pissed me off about the trailer is that the kid apparently is autistic. Um, and that in itself was quite interesting, I thought. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why they've kind of chosen to use an autistic kid. And then it was like, oh, it's because the autistic kid can understand the language of the predators. And I was like, but that's kind of cheapening autism a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, and I'll be interested to know what you guys think. But it seemed to me like it was cheapening the condition, because it's like, you know, not everybody who has autism is somebody who can, you know, is a fucking Matt Murdock daredevil who can see sound and all of this. It's just, you know, that's not what autism is, and it just seems like the intention of this kid being autistic is just to be a plot device to drive their plot forward. And I was like, I'm not sure what Shane Black is doing here. Like, you know, I usually have a lot of faith in him, but the things I'm hearing about it doesn't add up. And I mean, the whole, as you guys probably know, the whole third act had to be reshot, apparently, because it didn't test well at all with test audiences. So they had to go back and completely reshoot the end of, well, not even the end of the movie, the third act of the movie. So yeah, I mean, I'm just not jazzed about this one at all. But yeah, so I'm interested to know what you guys think. So, Alvin, you can go first, man. What did you make of the Predator?
Like when I saw it, like I just wanted more, you know what I mean? But like, and what I mean by that is, I wasn't really impressed with what I saw, you know what I mean? I wanted it to be better.
Yeah.
It just left a lot to kind of be kind of. I just wanted him to give me something better. That's like literally what I wanted. I just saw it and I was like, that was my general reaction to it, was that sound, and yeah, it just didn't do it for me in any way, shape, or form. Like when you said about about them like upgrading and all that kind of business, and they come to the planet to upgrade and all this kind of shit. I thought, oh well, perhaps it's just a different sect of the Predator that do that. Not all of them do the same thing. Like some are just straight up hunters, maybe, perhaps, and maybe this is a different group of predators that do this, and there's a next group of predators that do that, and X, Y, Z, and so on and so forth. So I'm not too asked about that at the moment if they explain it that way in the movie. But yeah, the autism thing I didn't hear of until now. And yeah, it does seem a bit lazy. And I know that there's people with autism who can do extraordinary things.
Yeah.
But it's like, why do we need the Rain Man equivalent in Predator? Like, what? Why do that? Unless you're going to say something interesting about it. But it does seem like a cheap plot device to me, to be honest. Because really, it would be some kind of linguistic specialist to be able to suss that stuff out. But I guess to make it easier, just have a magic child. A magic child in the script, but autistic people aren't magic.
Yeah, it just was stupid. I mean, as you said, if there was kind of a way in which they were going to explain or they were going to address autism in the movie, that would be great. I would be up for that, you know, if there was going to be that tip. But I'm really getting the vibe that that's not going to be the case, that it's just literally going to be, oh yeah, because he's got autism, he can understand the predator language. And it's just, it's just lazy, as you said. But Rich, how about you, man? I mean, what did you make of the trailer and what it seems like they're trying to do?
To be fair, once again, you know how I feel about the Predator films. Because I feel the same way about them how I feel about the Alien films. Why? That's it. To me, it just boils down to why. And it just boils down to, I mean, everything that you guys have just obviously just said about some of the most annoying things that you've read about it. It boils down to, again, it's like just why. And to me, it just seems like just to make money. Like, you know, they think they've thought of something different or something special. And it's like, well, you haven't really fucking thought it through. You just said, okay, cool, this will just fly because there is a certain base audience that, you know, that might want to see this. And we need a bit of money and we need a franchise and maybe we can use this to kickstart it off. So how are we going to kickstart this franchise? Well, let's bring in the person who wrote the first one. And that's what it seems like to me. I wasn't impressed by the trailer. I mean, I'm interested to see what they're going to do. But like you said, once again, like they've done this whole thing of like, you know, they boost their DNA to do, you know, to become better predators when they go hunting. That's interesting, but why? You know, like to me, it's always just going to keep on coming down to why, because, you know, there's been a whole franchise of these things, and these things have never been mentioned before. Fair enough. They've all been written by different people. But then when you go to like some of the non-canon stuff that was written in books and written in comic books, which were a lot better than the film, that hasn't been mentioned as well. I liked like the original thing that we got from the Predator in the first one, which the good stories were kind of based off, is that they just go from planet to planet and they just hunt. That's what they do. What do you do? Hey, Mr. Predator, what did you do on Thursday? Oh, I went hunting. Oh, what? Did you go down to the docks to do some fishing? No, I went down to fucking Earth and I took a couple of skulls with a couple of spines. Here, I'll take you to my little room. You can have a look at the trophies. That's it. That's fucking nice and simple. Who did you fight against? A big fucking Austrian who picks up cars. What's his name? Arnold. That's it. Like, I like that. Don't fucking try and make it more smart than it is. Otherwise, you're going to end up with freaking Alien Covenant. And the other one, what's the other one? Prometheus.
Prometheus, yeah.
Yeah. So you're just going down that territory of doing that. So just leave the franchise alone. Like there's nothing wrong with the first one, and I don't think you can do better than the first one. So already they're digging themselves into a hole. Because I can only assume that they're not even that fussed about the fans of the film. They're looking for a new audience to what's it called, to draw in. And then once again, it goes back to the whole thing of bringing somebody who has autism. Because when I look at the cast of the people in the film, there's a female, there's a black guy, there's every single box ticked, which is actually cool, fair enough. But then that's appealing to a generation, you know, in my opinion, that I think sometimes is a bit too oversensitive to certain things. Like, you know, like when I watched the first Predator, fair enough, it's a very, very testosterone and big dick swinging type of competition type of film, but it just is what it is. It's not like they went out of the way to say like, we're not going to portray this person, we're not going to portray that person. It's just about people in a fucking army who go to fight against this thing. And in essence, each of those characters could have been portrayed by somebody different. It didn't really matter. They were all fucking cannon fodder at the end of the day, apart from Arnold Schwarzenegger. So this film, I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm a big Shane Black fan, but I'm just not sure if he can if he can drag a rabbit out of a hat for this one. I don't know. But I'm not too fussed about it, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, Predator 1, I think, was very much kind of a product of its time, which I guess is why it kind of has the cast that it does, and the plot kind of goes a certain way. But I enjoyed, I mean, Predator 1 to me is a classic. Predator 2 I really like as well. I mean, I think when Predator 2 initially came out, people were a bit like kind of didn't really like it, but over time, people have actually kind of got an appreciation for what they were trying to do with Predator 2, and it is quite interesting. They do try to take it in a slightly different direction and not just repeat Predator 1. I think the cast for this one, I mean, looking down the cast on paper, they're all very good. I mean, it's Boyd Holbrook, who's the lead actor in it, and he was in Narcos season 1 and 2. He was a lead detective in that, and he was pretty good. Trevante Rhodes from Moonlight is in it. He was good. I mean, Keegan Michael Key is in it. Olivia Munn's in it. Like, it's a good cast, but like you said, you kind of just you wonder about the movie itself, and you're a bit like, yeah, I don't really get where they're going with this. But
sorry. I'll use this as an example. Like, Predator 2 is a guilty pleasure, right? And then Predator 1 is a good film, but as much as like the mysticism and the thing that we love about the Predator in the first one, the thing that holds that film together is Schwarzenegger. To me, like for the first one, Schwarzenegger holds that film. I don't see anybody in this direct sequel, because remember, this is a direct sequel to the first one, which is quite interesting. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like I said, all of those guys on paper by themselves are actually okay, but I don't think they have like the clout to be able to hold the film like that. It just feels like they're going to be too much cannon fodder for people that have a name, and so that's what my main issue is, because the Predator itself, the reason why the Predator works and the reason why it's always worked the same thing like the Alien is that the less you know about it, the better it works, because you're then in the same boat as the people that you're going against. And I can't see this cast. I can't see this cast like holding it for me to basically see them go against the Predator. Yeah. That's one of it. Now you just mentioned the cast to it. It just made me realize the reason why the first one is so iconic and the reason why it does work. They're very two-dimensional, but then that's cool. Like, they're there for a particular fucking purpose. Now you've got names attached to it who are like you said, they're good. But good for what? I don't want you to be good. I just want you to be this specific thing going against this specific thing, and you tell a story which has three arcs: a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then we go home. I think Shane Black has got too. I think he's got too much love for this franchise for him to be able to go back to it. That's my opinion.
Cool. Fair enough. Well, let's move on, man, because we spent a bit of time on Predator anyway, and I don't think it deserves that much time, to be honest. So, yeah, let's move on to Mission Impossible Fallout. Now, Mission Impossible is a franchise I'm kind of losing interest in, but that said, the official trailer came out a couple of days ago, and you know what? I'm actually quite interested in this one. I feel like this one is different enough to the others that have come before, in a sense that there's lots of new faces in this one. I like the kind of element of the Ethan Hunt and his team having to deal not only with a villain but with their own government as well. That seems like quite clever in terms of how they've done it. And the extra casting in this is good. I mean, like, they've got Henry Cavill in there who's looking fantastic. They've got Angela Bassett in there as well. Like, who doesn't want to see Angela Bassett play a hard-ass boss? Like, nobody. So I'm down with that. I like the kind of visuals they've gone with. I like the fact that it's that they've gone for a contrast of visuals. There's cityscapes, and then there's kind of more open areas that are used as well for the stunts. And yeah, in general, I've got a good feeling about this one. I think this one might actually be good. And as said, I wasn't a massive fan of the last Mission Impossible, but this one I'm really looking forward to, man. Rich, you're the resident Tom Cruise guru here, so I'll let you go first. How are you feeling about Fallout? Are you excited for it, or
take my money? Take my money. Listen. Mission Impossible is the same thing. Is in the same league as Fast and Furious. Like, you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get some story where, like, you know, he's gonna have to call maybe his friends out of retirement, and they're gonna do some craziness, and they're gonna go on a run or gonna chase somebody. And once again, it's very, very simple. It's gonna get split up into 3 arcs, and in each of those arcs, Tom Cruise is gonna do something crazy, like wrestle a shark while he's like, you know, while he's got a lion on his back, like, you know, something like. So to me, you know what you're getting, and I never ever feel disappointed in any of the Mission Impossible films. I know you said you weren't a fan of. I think was it the last one or one before that?
It was the very last one. Yeah, the very last.
The very last one. Like, I think you get what you're given, and I still think that Tom Cruise, in this respect, especially to this franchise, is probably one of the hardest working men, if not the hardest working action star in Hollywood. And I know people may disagree with that because some people can't disassociate the actor and the films that they're doing with the actual person. But I would basically say, you know, like he's fucking top dollar in with this Mission Impossible franchise. Yeah, I'm happy to see a couple of faces come back from a couple of the other films, which is interesting because that's not something that they usually do. They usually have a standalone mission, and the next mission is, you know, completely different with a new villain and new guest stars, so to speak. But this one seems to be continuing from the last one, which they haven't done before. So I'm going to see where they're going to go with that. I'm a bit upset that Jeremy Renner is not going to be in this because they were building him up to be quite a good character for this. But like you said before, man, Henry Cavill in this. I think Henry Cavill, with the right person behind him, he's able. He's I wouldn't say he's like an amazing actor. He's no De Niro or fucking DiCaprio or Hardy, but when he does well, I genuinely do feel that he does a lot more than people give him credit to. And I know that's me being a fan of his when he does good acting. I've seen him in some shit, like, you know, we're not going to mention the DC movies, but I think he's just going to be doing another version of Napoleon Solo from The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is a film that I love as well, and it just gives him the chance to just flex his acting chops and his muscle chops as well. I'm really excited. In fact, if from this trailer alone, he's the thing that I'm most excited to see. I'm most excited to see Henry Cavill in this, because Tom Cruise, we know what he's capable of doing. We've already seen him do some running in a trailer. So already, I'm ready to whack off to that. Like a Tom Cruise film with no running is like a film of porn with no sex. Like, you know, it makes no sense. So I take my money for this. Take it.
Cool. Alvin, how about you, man? How are you feeling about Mission Impossible right now?
Well, someone remind me, what was the last film that the last Mission Impossible called? Was it Rogue Nation, or was the one after that?
Rogue Nation, I think.
Rogue Nation.
Yeah, I think Rogue Nation was the last.
What was the one before that Brad Bird did?
Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, I watched that one. That's the one where he's climbing that fucking building in Dubai, innit?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I didn't watch Rogue Nation. Mission Impossible was weird. I got a weird relationship with it because I remember watching the first one when I was like younger and just being like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then I remember watching the John Woo one, going, "This is totally different from what they fucking set up in the last one."
yeah.
And then I just watched some of the others. The further you go on, the more consistent they are. You know what I mean? So I get that really got into the swing of it. But this has been around almost for like, well, it has been around 20 years now, isn't it? And it's always been Tom Cruise.
Yeah, 96.
Like,
96.
Yeah, so it's 22 years then.
Yes.
And I respect like as to what they've done and all that, but it's just not my jam. I do like this trailer though. This is like, I've seen the other trailer that they had out. This one's more focused on actual Mission Impossible itself. I felt like the previous trailer kind of was almost trying to sell it to normies, so they had to put in some like jazzy kind of pop music or whatever in there just to like get people like into it or whatever. Whereas this, I felt like it was focusing on the story at hand, and they really just explained that these two main things going on. And yeah, I like the whole kind of on the run thing and all that. And Tom Cruise, he is a fucking movie star, you know what I mean? So yeah, like a good trailer. I think it looks decent enough. There's a lot of peril in there, him almost getting crushed by things and all that kind of shit. So if you're a big Tom Cruise fan, which I'm not, but if you're a big Tom Cruise fan, you're going to want to see it. And I do actually quite like the look of this, and I'm interested to see as to what Henry Cavill can do in this movie, especially like the bit where they're in the toilet and he kind of does that air punch thing. I thought that was really fucking cool. But yeah, it should be an all right time. But yeah, I like the look of it.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I'm in with it as well, man. I'm feeling it. I'm enjoying it. As I said, I'm not necessarily all aboard the Mission Impossible train, but this trailer has definitely piqued my interest. So yeah, I think I will be checking it out. So listeners, if you want to check out that trailer as well, make sure you go and have a look for it on YouTube. It does look pretty good, and let us know what you think. All right, let's move on. So the next trailer that we looked at was for the biopic about Freddie Mercury called Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, for those that don't know, Freddie Mercury was the lead singer of the rock band Queen, and if you don't know who Queen are, then I don't know what to say to you or how to help you. They're only like one of the biggest bands to ever live. Um, what did you guys think of the trailer? I thought the trailer was kind of interesting. I did like Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury from what we saw, although there wasn't that much. But he seemed to kind of capture the mannerisms and the movement of Freddie Mercury. But I mean, how do you guys feel about biopics in general? I've never really like asked you two this question. I don't know if you're fans of them or not, because for me, I generally love a good biopic, especially if it's done well. But you know, they're not everybody's cup of tea. So I'll start with you, Alv. I mean, are you a big fan of Queen? Would this trailer make you want to go and see a movie about Freddie Mercury?
Well, no, I'm familiar with Queen. I'm not a fan. I don't really own any of the music apart from the theme tune to Flash Gordon. But you know, biopics. I tend to watch them on TV. I don't think I've ever been to the cinema to go, I need to see a biopic on X. But yeah, this is the film that Bryan Singer was directing and then got kicked off for kind of erratic behavior. I wasn't expecting much from it, but I liked what they did with the trailer, like taking all the Queen music and like kind of mixing the tunes together and that to the beat and all that kind of business. And it made it seem more interesting to me. It made me go, you know what, I might actually want to see it because it did look half decent. It was stylized to a certain degree as well. And obviously we're gonna get like, are we gonna get the whole story? So like early Queen all the way up until like the death. So I think, yeah, it looks all right so far. And also those one or two comedic bits in there that I thought were pretty funny. And it was kind of refreshing because I think most trailers do the same old boring stuff, whereas this kind of it looked like it would be, because sometimes the problem with biopics is that they'll either tell a specific story of a portion of someone's life, but they won't try and get the whole life in there as one story. I'm wondering as to whether they're going to try and have a story that crosses the whole thing from beginning to end. You know what I mean? That's what I'm wondering, and that's the impression that they're giving me, because it doesn't look like a bits of kind of story, a story that doesn't really know what to do, so it kind of tells several. It doesn't look like that. It looks like it's beginning, middle, of end, but over however many decades. So, but yeah, I think it looks pretty good.
Cool, sweet. And Rich, how about you, man? Are you looking forward to this as well?
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see this. I saw the trailer and I was fucking gassed. I was like, I mean, it's one of those things where, like Alvin said, like you're not a fan of Queen, but you know of them and you might like a couple of their songs. And you love the Flash Gordon song. Like you see the trailer for this film, and you don't need to have a fucking score done by, you know, John Williams or Hans Zimmer or anybody. You just get Queen's music and just do a fucking mashup, and that in itself is fucking amazing. You're just like, God damn, like you were that good. Like you were so good that we know what, we're just gonna use your own music, to promote your own film. That's how fucking good it is. I'm excited to see it. My issues with biopics is sometimes how it might not tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, if you get what I mean. And like, you know, like sometimes, I mean, it is unavoidable, unfortunately, and it makes sense the reason why. But sometimes you don't want to portray people in a particular way because, you know, people are held in such high regard, and, you know, and there's a certain way in which people view them. I'm interested in this. I'd like to see how they're going to portray Queen and where they stand in music, so to speak. So, for example, I never saw the Tupac film, or the Biggie film, but I know they were trying to set up their own little rap movie verse, so to speak. And so there were clips in, I think, the Tupac. Yeah, they were trying to set up there's a clip in the Tupac film where I think you see him at Death Row Records and he's with Snoop. And I think there might be like maybe one or two other, for his death row and stuff like that. So I'd like to see if they do that with Queen, because I think there's a bit where they do like the famous concert. I can't remember what year it took place, but there's a fairly famous concert where I think done in Wembley Stadium, and it's just literally just Queen, and the whole crowd is singing. That's probably. Yeah. No, it was. Was it Live Aid? No,
Live Aid one. It was before that. It was.
Yes.
It was a specific one where they sold out Wembley Stadium just then.
Yeah.
Which was why it was kind of so historic, was because he was this band who'd sold out Wembley Stadium all by themselves with no support act or anything else.
Yeah. So, but that's like a famous concert. I know it goes to there, but I'm not sure if it's going to go past there. But obviously, they're a band that's held in such high regard. So I want to know if there's going to be any, if they're going to show them interacting with other people from that period. So you've got your Bob Geldofs, you've got your Michael Jacksons. I mean, I've read interviews of like apparently, and I've seen an interview of Freddie Mercury saying how him and Michael were actually in the studio and did actually cut some work together, but whether it's going to see the light of day, whether that's going to be released. I doubt that's going to happen because obviously you're going to have to do things with certain estates. But some people or some musicians, they're not like that. They're like, yeah, but listen, just tell the fucking story. This is what happened. Me and him were in the studio one day. We made a song and never got released. You can throw that in there. So I just hope that they portrayed the full story of Freddie Mercury and Queen, which is, I hope, is it going to include the whole thing of him being homosexual and suffering from AIDS, because at that period when he was suffering from HIV or from that period, it was still something that was quite unspoken about. The same thing for like George Michael, when George Michael came out being gay years later, and he was like, I thought everybody knew, but it was a thing where at that period it was something that they had to kind of hold down because of like the status that they held. So I hope there's not just going to be about the band. I really hope to see some meat and potatoes behind the character of Freddie Mercury and how it had an impact on the band, and then how that band had an impact on the world, so to speak. So I'm really excited for this film, man. That trailer had me sold as well.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really good trailer, listeners. So I would recommend you go and look it up. Yeah, I mean, in terms of Freddie Mercury's life and stuff like that, I think if they don't touch on his sexuality, it would just bankrupt the film for me, because that was part of his identity. It was part of who he was, and he was never shy about it. So I think for them to avoid it would be poor form, really. So yeah, hopefully they do him justice with that. All right, let's move on, man. So we've got another trailer that we looked at as well. This one was called Black Klansman. Now this is for a movie by Spike Lee. I think it's his first movie in maybe 5 years, I think, or 6 years. I can't remember. Anyway, the last movie I remember seeing that Spike Lee made was that terrible Old Boy remake.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was awful. Really awful. So this trailer, I saw the trailer and it looks pretty good. I mean, it seems to be about a true to life case, a real investigation, apparently, back in the 70s, where a black cop kind of went undercover in the Ku Klux Klan. But although he didn't really, what he did was he used a white officer to go undercover, and he basically fed the white officer all of the lines and all of the things to do while he was undercover there. But it turns out this white officer was Jewish, so he kind of had his own conflict in having to go undercover into the Klan and to try and bring the Klan down within Colorado. And the trailer, I like the trailer. It's got a nice kind of, it's got quite a comedic vibe to it. It doesn't look like it's taking itself too seriously as a movie. Apparently the lead actor is Denzel Washington's son. I had no idea. But yeah, apparently it's John Washington who is his son. I mean, the last time I saw John Washington, a picture of him, I think he was like 13 or something like that. So yeah, he's all grown up now. But yeah, he's the lead actor, and Adam Driver is playing the undercover officer in it as well. And what I find hilarious is that Topher Grace is playing the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. I think that's just like that alone to me is hilarious. But what did you guys think of the trailer? Do you think it was kind of funny? Did it seem a bit off the way that they were treating the subject material, considering it's quite a serious thing and something that's based on real life as well? or do you think that's a better approach to take a humorous approach with it? Richard, you can go first, man.
I like the trailer, and I think that the whole humorous approach that they've taken to it, I think I'm not even sure if that's even going to be the whole tone of the film. I think it just might be something that they might have just cut for the trailer. I'm excited to see this. Like, you know, it's history, you know. So it's, you know, like we said, I mean, you know, hopefully they tell the whole story, and you know, and don't cherry pick shit, which is, you know, which can help fit the narrative. But then in saying that, it's a film about the fucking Ku Klux Klan. You know, what can you cherry pick to be nice? You know, I really hope that Spike Lee is able to find his, you know, his mojo again with this. I mean, like you said, I mean, the last thing he did that you said you remember doing was Old Boy. I'm literally just on Google now to see if that was the last thing that he did, and it actually wasn't. But then in saying that, if the last thing that we remember him doing was Old Boy and he's done stuff since then and we don't remember it, then maybe he's not doing as well as he should be in, you know, in how he used to be. Yeah. You know, when he was Do the Right Thing and Mo Better Blues and when Spike Lee had a voice and his voice was able to be heard and, like, you know, and it did well. I'm excited to see this. The cast is very, 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 very eclectic. Like you said, Topher Grace. I feel sorry for him because he still seems to be that guy from that 70s show. But I like the fact that he's going for roles which generally seem to be bucking that stereotype and also making him act. I like that. So I'm excited to see him in this role. Adam Driver, I'm still not sold on the character of Adam Driver. The actor of Adam Driver. I just think that he's just, I just always see him as that guy from Girls or Kylo Ren. And Kylo Ren I'm not a fan of, and Girls I never really watched. So he's just that funny looking big guy, innit? Like,
listen, you're going to break a lot of emo girls' hearts, you know. But
hey, listen. Well, you know what? That's what they want. They like a broken heart anyway. So you know, I'm doing them a favor. True. But and the other guy who plays the guy who's doing the voice of the black police officer. Who's he again? You mentioned his name, Jay.
Oh, John Washington. He's Denzel Washington's son. Yeah.
What else has he been in?
He's been in a few things. I can't remember like exactly, but I think it's TV stuff he's mostly done. I can't remember any movies that he's been in. But I know he was in the theater as well in America. He's a big time stage actor. Well, I guess he's following his dad's footsteps, isn't it? Starting out on the stage. So yeah, he's a big time theater actor, and he has done some TV stuff, but I can't remember off the top of my head what exactly it was. But I think this might be his first kind of big movie role, really.
It is. He's only done stuff on theater and on TV. He was in Ballers with The Rock.
That's it. Yeah. He was in Ballers.
Which is actually quite a decent show. But yeah, like I like the fact that he holds that trailer. For someone who this is his first role, he seems to be quite competent and seems to be quite confident in just being the main star, but not too overpowering as you know to everybody else. So I'm really interested to see what he's going to bring to the table, especially now that you've just reminded me that he's Washington's son. So hopefully, you know, when we watch this, or maybe when Denzel watches this, you know, come by the credits roll, you're going to see Denzel go like, "My man, okay, my man, all right, Drake, all right." So yeah,
cool. All right, Alf, I'll let you have your say on this as well. What did you think?
Yeah, I like the tone of it all, like, because normally when you're dealing with kind of that kind of subject matter, bless you, when you're dealing with that kind of, bless you again, when you're dealing with that, have you got another one in there, or are we good?
No, we're good.
When you're dealing with that kind of content, it's like, you know, stuff to do with racism it's normally a downer, innit? And this story, I like, it does seem like they pumped a little bit of humor into it. And I think that works. I think that works because we always see it one way. It like seeing a kind of dark kind of humor thing with this like serious subject matter. I think it actually worked for that film, and it does make me want to see it. I normally, like, if it was serious, for example, I'd probably yawn and go, okay, another one of these. Like, there's a million of these. But the fact that it tonally it seems quite different than what's come before, I'm quite looking forward to seeing it. And I kind of got into the trailer because I wasn't expecting much. But yeah, I think it could be pretty good, and I like the way it looks, and hopefully it has really good performances in there as well.
Yep, I would echo all of that, man. Well, listeners, go and check out the trailer for Black Klansman. As said, that's on YouTube as well. Now let's switch gears a little bit, guys, and head towards TV. We got a Luke Cage season 2 full trailer as well. I'm not going to say anything because I'm biased. You know I'm in. Listeners, you know I'm in. You know I do Luke Cage all day, every day. So I don't even need to say anything about it. But for you two guys to say your piece as well, basically, and to say what you think about the trailer and whether you think it's enticing in any way or if they're doing anything slightly different or whether you kind of feel like it's just more of the same. Alv, you want to go?
I think they've gone more. Well, hopefully I'm not wrong about this, but I think they've gone more action heavy. There was a fair amount of downtime in the first season where not much was going on, and Luke wasn't being a badass. But I also think they've kind of amped up his because he's kind of like a gentle giant in that first series. I think they're gonna kind of make him a bit more gritty in this one and make him a bit more like non shit taking. Yeah, a bit more attitude, a bit more edgy. But yeah, I think they kind of changed him up a little bit, which is good because you can't have him be a gentle bear the whole time. So yeah, I think it's good that they've. Well, I think it's good that it's appeared that they've changed things up. As to whether that actually is the case, we'll have to wait and see in June what? June the 22nd.
Yeah, 22nd of June.
Yeah, but yeah, I definitely like the look of it. As soon as he got punched in the face, I was just kind of like, great, because you don't want someone who's invincible walking around being invincible because that's fucking boring. You always want there to be a threat of some sort, and the fact that there are these different threats that kind of can hurt Luke, although they don't come around every day, they do exist, which is great, and they're giving him a kryptonite in a way to make him vulnerable to something sometimes, which keeps him interesting. But yeah, so far I like the look of it. Yeah.
Cool. Rich, how about you, bro?
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I enjoyed the trailer. This may be the show that makes me go and visit the shows that I haven't watched. So I still haven't watched Punisher season 1, and I still haven't watched Jessica Jones season 2, just because of like the bad taste that Iron Fist left in my mouth and the kind of like half-hearted taste that Defenders left in my mouth as well. I wouldn't say that I'm done with the Netflix Marvel universe, but I'm not as excited as I used to be. But this definitely does seem to be a bit of a switch up for Luke Cage. Like you said, it seems to be a lot more action heavy, and I like that as well. I like the fact that they put that in the trailer as well. So I think they're going to be saying like, whatever you thought you were gonna get from the first season, that's what it was. It was just the first season. Second season, we're gonna fucking up the ante, and I like that. I like that. The fact that it almost feels like what they did with like the MCU, where each person was dealing with their own little thing. And then when they finally did get together, it's like, well, you know what, there's actually a bigger world out there. And then when they went again back to their own little private universe, it seems like everything had been fucking amped. So since that day of like, the Battle of New York, shit just got weirder and weirder. And I feel like that's going to be the case. Well, hopefully that's the case with all the ones that have come out since the Defenders. I'm not sure what Jessica Jones season 2 is saying, but I'm liking the fact, like you said, Alvin, that there's other people out there, not just one person, but like multitude of people who may not come around every day, but that at some point they can cause damage to Luke Cage, who at one point was the gentle giant. So this actually might be the progression of the no shit angry Luke Cage. I wouldn't say angry walking around all the time, but like the Luke Cage who literally just takes no shit. And sometimes he may not want to ask questions. He may just want to put his hands on you straight away. There's also been a couple of pictures of him released with him and Iron Fist. So maybe it might be a lot more action heavy. I'm excited about that. I'm not excited about Finn Jones. Yeah. Heroes for Hire, and action stuff. So I'm excited for that. And maybe this might be them like giving us a little more hints as to to what may come in the future. But we'll see. But I'm looking a lot more forward to this than I was to the Punisher and to Jessica Jones season 2. So hopefully it kickstarts that, what's it called, that fire I had for it, and then I'll go back and watch those, and then we can be lovers again.
Cool. Sorry, I wasn't laughing at you, by the way. I was just laughing at Finn Jones.
Oh, no, yeah, no, that's cool.
Every time his name gets mentioned, I just have to bust up. Right. Our second TV-based trailer that we checked out this week was for a show that some of you listening to this may not know a lot about it, because it was a rebooted show, which is going to be kind of a theme for something that we're looking at a bit later on in the pod. But yeah, this is for Magnum PI. Now, I remember the show, but I don't know a hell of a lot about the details and the characters and things like that. Magnum PI was something that my parents didn't let me watch. So yeah, I didn't get to see a lot of it. But we do have, as said, this rebooted show coming to us very soon. And they've cast Jay Hernandez in the lead role that was played by Tom Selleck. Now, we do have, luckily for you, some experts here in Magnum PI. Well, I don't know if they're experts, but they're fans in Rich and Alvin, so they can probably give you a bit more detail about who is what. But I'm quite excited about Jay Hernandez being cast in this. I mean, Rich and I were talking about this outside the show, and you know, it's quite rare that you see Latinos in lead roles in these kind of things. And Jay Hernandez is just an actor that I liked. I've liked him since Hostel, I guess, you know, since Hostel 1. You know, I've always liked him, and I've always felt like he's a type of actor that doesn't let you down, you know, regardless of whether his role is big or small. He's never anything less than solid and dependable. And you know, I think that may be perhaps all he really needs in order to make Magnum PI a success. But as I said, I don't know a lot about the show, so I'm going to let the two experts say their piece. So first of all, Alvin, how many kind of comparisons do you see between this sort of reboot and the older show? And to you, Rich, I mean, who do you think he can fill in Tom Selleck's shoes, basically, and carry on the iconic nature of that character? But Alvin first, if you can, just give a bit of background.
Yeah, so essentially they've lifted all the things that you'd remember from the old show and just put different actors in it. And then not only that, this also takes place in the same universe as NCIS and Hawaii Five-0 as well.
Oh shit! So, okay, I didn't know that.
So it's already. I don't know if you noticed in the trailer, there is a part where he's talking to the police, and the police do say, "This is a job for the FBI or 5-0." So Hawaii 5-0. And Hawaii 5-0 had a crossover with NCIS a few years back. So yeah, it's all taking place in the same universe. So yeah, they've just taken all the things from Magnum PI, like the cars, the helicopter, and all that shit, the theme music, and they've just taken the things you recognize, and then just given it a new lick of skin, and made it seem a bit like Fast and the Furious. I think there's a producer from Fast and the Furious who's involved with it. Yeah. So when you get that bit at the end, like where he climbs onto that van or whatever when it's going over the cliff and then jumps and grabs the helicopter, that's the Fast and the Furiousness. So, I mean, they're updating it. You know, I'm not mad about it, but, I mean, Tom Selleck, if you watch the whole opening of the original show, like, Tom Selleck he's at least got to be 6'2", and he's actually fucking pretty well defined for, like, back in the day and that. And he's just, like, athletic looking, you know what I mean? This guy doesn't look like that, you know what I mean? No disrespect to him, I'm sure he's got a better body than me, but you know, he doesn't look like Selleck. Selleck had sex appeal. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Yeah, he had sex appeal. It's a different kind of sex appeal, but I don't think this guy's got that.
Okay. Well, Rich, I mean, that segues nicely over to you. I mean, how do you feel about Jay Hernandez kind of portraying this role in comparison to sort of Tom Selleck?
Yeah, I think Alvin's pretty much banged the nail on the head. Like, I can imagine reading the original treatment for Magnum, and it's pretty much what you see in the show, and this reboot is pretty much what you get. You know, what you get. But Selleck's portrayal and that whole laid back attitude and interaction with the people around him is what made the show. Hernandez is good. Like we were saying the other day, Hernandez as an actor, he may not be like the best of the best, maybe because he hasn't had that break yet, but he's definitely someone that doesn't fail me, if you know what I mean. And I think he was really one of the only things, or the things that I liked in Suicide Squad. I mean, he was decent in Suicide Squad. I like the fact that they're trying to build up their own little cop universe in with like, because I didn't even know that it was a crossover, or that I knew that Hawaii Five-O and SIS were part of the same universe. I didn't know that this was going to be part of the same thing as well. But here's a fun fact for you. I know that Magnum PI was set in the same universe as Murder, She Wrote, and it's actually a two-part crossover.
Oh,
with,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
I need to see
dude,
that.
listen, mate, I was a fan. I used to be. Listen, here's a funny thing, right? And you guys know that I'm friends with the what are they famous people, but like, just I'm friends with certain people, and I just happen to be in the limelight. So, was so solid. Whenever his mom used to pick us up from primary school, he never used to come out the car. Like, what's it called? He never used to come out the car like open a door. He used to climb out the car like the Dukes of Hazards, but the car was Kit from Knight Rider, but he himself was Thomas Magnum from Magnum PI. Like, so that's three fucking shows mixed into one. But Magnum was just, his portrayal as like Tom Selleck's portrayal of Magnum was just, it was cool without being cool. And so far, as much as I like Jay Hernandez, I haven't seen that portrayal as of yet. And there's something about his voice. It almost sounds like Jay Hernandez is trying to sound a bit like Tom Selleck in it as well. Let's see how it goes. I mean, Rob Cohen, who's the producer of this, like you said, he's part of the Fast and Furious franchise from the beginning. And he actually tried to do start like a whole little bike verse as opposed to the car verse with a film called Talk, which starred Martin Henderson and who's the Chinese actor who's is he in, what's it called? He's in Altered Carbon. The original in Altered Carbon.
William Lee.
What's that? Yeah. Well, yeah. So it's Jay Hernandez, Martin Henderson, and William Lee, and they were in a film called Talk, and it's about bikes, and that was them trying to kickstart like a bike version of the Fast and Furious. And so obviously Rob Cohen sees something in Jay Hernandez, which is like, well, listen, we've worked together before, and I know you're capable of doing this and doing X, Y, Z. So let's make you this person, and we're not just gonna make you just anybody. We're making you fucking Magnum PI. So there must be something that they can see, which he is going to be able to do. So hopefully that's true, because at the same time, we've seen castings like this before, where they've gone, hey, Finn, Finn Jones, we'd like to work in Game of Thrones. Would you like to be the best martial artist in the whole entire world? Yes, I would. I would like to be the best fucking martial artist. I mean, I'm the fucking Iron Fist. Anyway, let's not go on that road. But yeah, something that I'm definitely gonna give it a go, because NCIS, although they may not be the best shows in the world, they're very, very watchable. And Hawaii Five-O, when it's is not a show that I go to on a regular basis, but if it's there, I'll watch it and I'll be entertained with what it gives me. So hopefully I can follow suit as well.
Cool. All right. Well, hopefully that gave you an idea of what Magnum PI is about, listeners. But yeah, as with all of these trailers, go hop on YouTube if you haven't seen it and check it out and let us know what you think. All right, we're coming towards the end of our trailer run, so yeah, don't worry, listeners. We'll be moving on to other stuff, so we'll run through these last three quickly because there isn't really that much to say about them anyway. Although this first one that I want to talk about, oh man, it's breaking my heart. So for those of you that don't know, there is a new Netflix movie that will be out. I believe it's in next month, actually, towards the end of next month, called Manhunt, which is an action thriller set in Hong Kong, and it's directed by the legend and the maestro and I guess one of my only heroes in life, really, John Woo. Now, the trailer for this came out a little while ago. This was, I think, sort of mid-May, the trailer dropped. And I watched the trailer. I raced to the internet to get home and watch it because I wanted to see what my hero was going to do, because he was back in his wheelhouse. He was back doing, heroic bloodshed and gung fu movies, and that's me. Like, I love that era. And I watched the trailer and I was like, oh my God, is this man going to embarrass himself in 2018? Because it's all the John Woo stuff that you would expect for those of you who know John Woo, but it's just, the problem is, as said, we're in 2018 and it just doesn't feel like anything that he does is going to fit or even going to bat an eyelid in this day and age. Guys, I'm like Luke Cage, I'm kind of biased on this, so it's kind of pointless asking me what I think. But you boys, I mean, what did you think? I'll start with you, Alvin, because I know you're not necessarily swearing allegiance to the Church of Wu. So, what did you think of the trailer?
It looked very cheap, but it kind of looked Saturday night popcorn cheap. So, like, the things that, like, I could see little bits of action and all that. And like when the van flipped over, I was like, that van's going about 5 miles per hour. You know what I mean? It's not going. They couldn't afford to close down a big section of road, obviously, to get it up to speed. It's just going really slow. And yeah, even I think there's an explosion that comes off it, and it's one of those cheap explosions where it's not even a fireball explosion; it's the dust explosion. So it just looks like shit a little bit. But yeah, I was just watching it, just going. I feel like I've traveled to like 97, 98 maybe. And it's like a low budget movie that's like there's probably given a lot of advertisement to that's coming out. That's what it feels like. But I guess he's just kind of like I don't know, going back to his roots, kind of like his hard target roots and all that kind of business. So hopefully it turns out good. But I don't know, because a lot of these kind of movies, it seems to have kind of like a revenge thing going on and whatnot, and this, that, the other. It seems very kind of like seen it all before. But I hope it is actually entertaining, even though it's cheap, because cheap films can be entertaining. So yeah, but it's good to have him doing something, because obviously he's not around Hollywood anymore. That boat pretty much sailed. They gave him a few chances and that, but the projects they gave him didn't really suit him. Apart from Face Off, that suited him, and like Hard Target and shit like that. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel bad for him. I kind of feel like he should be way more relevant now. He's inspired so many people as well, because definitely people have like ripped his style, and like some people try to rip his style and have, or at least been influenced by him. You know what I mean? He's I say he's definitely important when it comes to kind of how Western action movies have evolved, especially with gunplay as well. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'll check it out just to be nice. You know what I mean?
Rich, boy, well, you know me, and as long as you know me, I love John Woo, and I love the heroic bloodshed movies. But how about you, man? I mean, what did you think of this when you saw the trailer? Were you like, yes, the Woo is back, or did you think, oh, holy shit, this is going to be awful? Like, what was your reaction?
You know what? I actually enjoyed it. I was just like, no, you know what it is? Like, I don't mind. Like, it's like we can watch some really, really good John, where people have ripped his. Quite a few people have done better than him. So you're watching certain, like the Boyhood, where Tequila is having that. I mean, which is probably ever put on screen, easily in my top 10. But the bit where he has the whole bit in the warehouse with the fights and everything, and he's got the toothpick in his mouth, and he slides down the banister, and he takes out a room full of people, and he's still got a toothpick in his mouth, and he's calm, no sweat, hair still the same, shit looks cool as fuck. And it's like, you know what? Not in a bad way. You can't look at what he's just put on screen now and then cut him, because that's what he's known for doing, isn't it? It's like, so if he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it. It's whether he's still gonna do it to the same way he used to do it back in the day. And I think the people that have made this problem in the past are people like fucking John Carpenter is a prime example of this, where he has made good films back in the day, and when he makes these films now, he's still stuck in the 80s. And there's nothing wrong with being stuck in the 80s, as long as you realize that what you're doing hasn't progressed, and you know what you are. Like, what's his name? Be like fucking David Hasselhoff or William Shatner. Who are you? Like, I'm David Hasselhoff. I'm fucking Mitch Buchanan. Like, I know who I am, and I know what I'm bringing to the table. If John Woo's trying to bring something different to the table, but using what he did back in the day, then this film's going to be shit. As long as he knows that he's just going to be doing what he used to do back in the day, and realize that he may not be the best at it, but this is what he does, then cool. I don't reckon it's going to be as bad as we think it is. If we're looking for some John Wick kind of style, then we're sorely going to be disappointed. But I liked it. I haven't seen people slide over a table in slow motion, killing 20 people with 2 guns. Even though the clips have run out of bullets, I haven't seen that shit happen in a long time. I like that. I like that, I like that shit. So I like that thing of like I like the fact that cops can still get mistaken. Like, hey man, I didn't commit the crime. It's like, I know you believe me. I like that would still happen, because in real life it would be like, you're that fucking, you're that criminal, and hey, just listen to me. No, bang. That's real life. I don't like that. I like the stuff that I like, fucking action films that play like fucking dramas like EastEnders and shit like that. I miss it. So I'm happy to see John Woo come back and do what he does best. And hopefully just realize that he may not be the best at it, but he's still regarded as one of the people who started it. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Cool. Fair enough. That's a good place to leave it, I think. Yeah. But no, I mean, you guys are absolutely right. I mean, a lot of, if you like John Wick, if you're a fan of the John Wick franchise, well, the 2 directors who worked on that are John Woo fans through and through, as are many, 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 many other people that you like, who, whose action movies you like, and even those who don't necessarily work on action movies, but have worked in other fields are big John Woo fans. Quentin Tarantino is another one. Who openly says he took a lot of his early kind of stylings from his movies from John Woo. So, a lot of the stuff that you're used to seeing now all kind of leads back to him, really. He is the Godfather. So, yeah, pay him some respect, man. Put some respect on his name. Now, we haven't really got much time to talk about these last 2. So what I'm going to do is give one each to each of you, partly because they're 2 films I'm kind of like, about and on the fence. I don't really have that to say myself. So one of you can talk about Robin Hood and one of you can talk about Mile 22. Do you have a choice or a preference, either of you?
I actually don't mind,
Yeah.
Mile 22.
Yeah. All right. Well, Richie, you can go with Robin Hood, 2018 Robin Hood.
2018 Robin Hood. I'm going to use that special word again that I like to use. Why? Like, nobody's. No, but it's true. It's true. Once again, why? And people think I don't know, hopefully you listeners don't think I'm being too negative, because I'm not saying that I'm not interested in it. I want to know the reason all of a sudden we're getting a Robin Hood film. Like, why are we getting a Robin Hood film? Why did we get a King Arthur film? Like, why? Taron Egerton, he is pretty much decent in the Kingsman. I haven't seen any of the other films that he starred in. I didn't see the one where he played Eddie the Eagle, although that was meant to be a really good film. So I'm actually going to peep that and see. But this one looks a lot more competent than the King Arthur film that came out, was it a year ago, 2 years ago, done by Guy Ritchie. But it still seems to be doing that whole, let's take this legend and update it so people can identify with it a lot more. And is that gonna ring true for this one? I mean, is that gonna work for this one? It hasn't really worked for any of the others. When you look at things like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or you look at a film like Gladiator, when it's set in a particular time period, the reason why it has worked is because it's stayed true to the roots of the way how those legends were told back in the day. Although I do have to say that Jamie Foxx in this does seem to be doing this thing, and Taron Egerton is someone who actually does know how to hold the screen and has quite a lot of charisma. So let's see how it goes. I'm interested to see how it's going to be portrayed, and for the first time in a long time, apart from the TV show Arrow, bows and arrows portrayed on screen have been pretty fucking boring. Don't get me wrong, Kat Everdeen is, she knows how to use a bow and arrow pretty decently in what's it called, in the Hunger Games films. But I want to see some flips and shit, and some really cool green arrow shit, which seems to be happening in this one. So I'm gonna say yes for this. Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna take the little piece of paper that says "Y" on it, and I'm gonna fold it up. I'm gonna put it in my pocket. And if this film fucking bombs, once again, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to show you guys. But up until then, let's just say I'm down for it.
Cool. All right. Well, Alf, that leaves you Mile 22.
Yeah. So it's got something a bit Sicario about it, although I know it's not going to be the same quality. I quite like the concept. It's got dude from the raid in it, and he's speaking English and that. So who knows? He may be, but it's been a long time since anyone from Asia has been able to make that leap into kind of Hollywood films. Maybe, who knows? In some years to come, he can make that leap that others have kind of semi-successfully done. It all depends. But I think this is a good way to kind of get him into kind of the mainstream, because although like the raid movies are super popular with like film fans like ourselves, a lot of mainstream public haven't heard of it, so it's good exposure for him. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Mark Wahlberg fan, and there is a part in the trailer where he says something like, "Oh, let's play," like that, and I'm just like, no, why did? Because I was enjoying the trailer up until that point. He go, "Oh, is that the game? Then let's play." And I'm just like, "Oh, come on, Mark. Why do you have to say it in that weird voice that he do sometimes?" But other than that, I quite like the concept. It's simple, straight to the point. It's guys and girls with guns protecting a guy. They got to get from one end of this place from the embassy, U.S. embassy, to some next place, to an airfield, to get the guy out. And shit's gonna hit the fan, and I think that's quite an interesting. It'll be the majority of the film will be that, and I think that's quite interesting, and I quite like the look of it. Yeah, I just hope they cut that line out with Mark Wahlberg, because that was the worst bit. But other than that, we didn't see shit about Ronda Rousey in it, but Maggie from The Walking Dead, we saw her have a few lines in that. But yeah, Ronda Rousey, we didn't hear her say a goddamn word out, even though she has any lines. Hopefully, any lines she does deliver are delivered well. But yeah, it actually looked pretty decent. I was quite surprised. I was like, oh, another Mark Wahlberg film. And then I saw the trailer. I was like, oh, actually, it looks pretty good.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, listeners, go and check out those trailers as well. Robin Hood is up on YouTube, as is Mile 22. So you can hear Mark Wahlberg trying to hide his Boston accent. I don't know why he does, but there you go. All right, let's move on, boys. We're going to talk a little bit now about some TV news that has dropped just in the last couple of days, really. The first piece is that we are getting a new Thundercats TV show. What are Thundercats? Well, Thundercats is only one of the greatest animated TV shows of all time, in my opinion. It came out in the very sort of late 80s, I guess, in the US, and sort of early 90s in the UK. And basically, it's a group of alien man-cat people who crash land onto a strange planet and decide to make the planet their home and encounter a dangerous villain and lots of strange creatures who live on the planet as well, and things like that. And it's a really, really fun show, really, really action driven, and really, really good artwork for the time as well. I mean, looking at it today, it may seem a little bit dated, but particularly for the time period that it came out, the artwork was highly impressive, especially when they switched to that Korean studio halfway through, which is one of the weird quirks that you get in TV from that generation. Is one animation house just stopped working on a project and another animation house taking over. But yeah, we're getting a reboot, so this reboot is not going down well with some of the older fans, as some of you listeners may know, because it's completely kind of taken a different approach to the characters and the story. It's actually decided that it's going to take a more comedic take on the characters. The artwork as well is a lot more basic, a lot more stripped down, and I guess is in keeping with the kind of tone that they want to take with the TV show, which is more of a parody, really, of the original show rather than kind of expanding on the mythos itself. As I said, this isn't going down well with fans of the original. I mean, I personally won't be checking it out because Thundercats to me is Thundercats from the 80s, and that's that. But there is a different generation out there that likes a different type of entertainment to me. So, guys, how did you feel about this Thundercat reboot? Do you think there's anywhere that there's any kind of merit behind doing what they're doing here? And how do you think it's going to perform once it comes out? Alvin, I know you've got a video on this, so I'll come to you last. But Rich Kid, you haven't really had your chance to have your say yet. So you go ahead and speak first, and then Alf can jump in.
Hey, listen, Thundercats came out in 1985, bruv.
Wow, it was
1985.
Jesus, okay.
1985. Because when you said the date, I was like, I remember my sister being tiny, and I remember living in a particular place that wasn't Battersea, and I was like, Yes, let me just do a bit of research. 985. We're old, you know. Shit. In fact, you know, I'm apparently listening in saying that while we were just having this thing, I was actually just sent a message by somebody saying that I use the word fucking and shit too much. So I'm not gonna say it for the rest of the show. How do I feel about it? Wow. Without using the S word or the F word. God damn.
Use your words, bro. Use your words.
You know what it is? It's like, it's honest God truth. Like, because we had a talk about this before we went live, and so we posted this on Facebook, and I just saw a picture of like Lionel for this new show, and I thought it was just somebody's like funny drawing take on Lionel, and then I saw there was like the little play button, and I clicked in it, and this guy came on and was talking about how much he's a fan of this show, and how he feels that the comedic part of it are the strongest, and this is the reason why he decided to make this show. And there was nothing in what he said that sold me on this new take on the show. It almost felt like he was just like he was generally, to me, he was clasping at straws and trying to justify the reason why he decided to do a take on the cats and portray it like this. And I just generally think he's just taking liberties with a franchise which is loved, but by a generation of people who are, like I said earlier on, or not less than 5 minutes ago, who are old. Is this something that's gonna resonate with the younger crowds? Maybe that's what they're aiming for. But but do I agree with that? Then maybe that's just me just being the old fogey again, and like maybe being a fanboy and be like, well, you can't touch this, and mess around with it. If it's gonna appeal to a whole new bunch of people, then who am I to argue with that? But am I looking forward to it? No. Am I going to give it a chance? I want to see what he's going to try with it. I'll say that much. Like you can never say no. But I'm not going to hold my hopes up high for it, just because like this isn't the Thundercats that I knew and I grew up with. And I'm not even a big fan. I'm a fan of Thundercats, but I'm not a fan of Thundercats like you are, Jay. I know, Jay, that's one of your favorite cartoon shows. So this must be hitting you like how Finn Jones playing Iron Fist hits me. So what so my condolences to you, and the show hasn't even come out yet. So that's my take on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, hit me like a bloody anvil to the head. Alf, as said, listeners, he does have his own take on this, and I would urge you to go and check that out when it's live. So yeah, I know you've got a lot that you say on there, but if you want to just kind of briefly add your 10 pence worth to this debacle, then go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't angry. I was just disappointed, like, because the original I used to watch when I was really young. They're still repeating it. I believe they were repeating it on CBBC up until like 1992. So still around when I was a kid, and it's like one of my earliest memories is when I was in nursery, and like this guy I was friends with, he had the Thunder Tank, and he brought it into nursery with a few of the action figures, and like actually caused a bit of commotion and that, and that's when I realized that like there's rich people. He was definitely rich, you know what I mean? Because he had that freaking toy, and it's just a lot of my early kind of memories of like watching CBBC is like watching Thundercats and being hype when that fucking intro started, because it's still a dope intro when you watch it even now. One of my favorite bits is where you see Chitara running, and then she does that forward flip, lands, spins the staff in the air, and then strikes a pose. That is literally one of the best, smoothest bits of animation I've ever seen. But this reboot, man, like as soon as I saw it, and they're like, I just read the headline, and I just went, why are they trying to turn everything into this cutesy, like Steven Universe Adventure Time, Amazing World of Gumball, like kind of thing? At least they're original, and at least they've got their own thing that they do. Whereas this, they're just trying to take something that already exists, that already has its essence, and they're trying to change it to something else. And that's what I really don't kind of like about it. You could have created something original, or you could have taken something that already was a comedy and turned it into that kind of style and all that. I just feel like what they've done seems like what a jealous girlfriend would do, you know what I mean, to ruin your life or whatever. That's what it seems like. They saw this thing that was very masculine, and they went, oh, it's so masculine. Oh, masculinity is so toxic. Oh, let's change it and make it all cute and this, that, and the other. And it's like, wow, why do you have to do that? Why do you have to do it? But I think in terms of how popular it will be, I think really young kids will like it, perhaps. But I don't think it's going to make anyone want to check out the original or the 2011 reboot, which I actually really liked. And having this new one come after the 2011 reboot, I'm like, you guys have like really dropped the ball. And an interesting fact I just found out about the 2011 one actually is that it didn't actually get cancelled. What happened is it got renewed for a second season, and then I don't know if you remember Lego. They had a Lego Chima, Legend of Chima, which was like Thundercats. So they made a better offer, I think, to the network. So they dropped Thundercats, and also Thundercats, the 2011 reboot, was supposed to be on Adult Swim's Toonami block, which I think it would have done really well on. But for some reason, the executives went, "Oh, just put it on normal Cartoon Network instead," and they put it in a shitty time slot apparently as well. So it didn't get cancelled because nobody watched it, because that's not true. It got cancelled for other reasons to do with money and toys.
As it always comes down to those things, man. It always comes down to those things. Well, listeners, let us know what you think. I mean, if you're a Thundercats fan, get in touch, man, and let us know how you feel about this and whether you'll be watching the new show or not. I mean, maybe you're somebody who's quite open-minded and is open to see the new show. I personally am not, but I suppose I'll end up probably watching the pilot just out of curiosity. But yeah, I mean, I don't have high hopes for it. But we do have another remake from our childhood that is coming our way soon. It will be coming our way next year, and that is She-Ra. She-Ra is getting a reboot via Netflix, and they said it will be coming to the Netflix platform next year. From having a look at the announcement, I mean, it looks like the polar opposite of Thundercats Raw, in a sense that it seems like the creators behind this series are actually taking it very seriously in terms of what they want to do with the property and how they want to go. The voice casting, it looks really, really solid as well, which is impressive. And I generally just have a good feeling about this. I mean, we were talking off air, guys, about Netflix's success with the reboot of Voltron and how it's been so good because they've respected the original, but they've done their own thing. And everything that I've read about this She-Ra reboot sounds exactly the same. Like they're going to respect the original 80s show, but they're going to try and do something different as well. And yeah, I just generally have a good feeling about this. I used to love She-Ra because as you guys know, I was a big He-Man fan growing up as a kid, and He-Man and She-Ra kind of came out at the same time. And then when I found out they were related, I was like, oh my God, they're related. They're cousins, of course. That's why they've got the same powers. So like my flipping 7-year-old brain was just blown by that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this does well, that Netflix might think about doing maybe a He-Man reboot afterwards as well. But I'm looking forward to see this, really. I really am. As said, the cast on this is phenomenal. Like the people they've managed to get together for it. So yeah, I'm really interested. Guys, did either of you ever watch She-Ra, or was I the only one who used to put on a tiara and pretend I was the Princess of Power?
Oh no, I used to watch She-Ra. I watched She-Ra. I never dressed up like a princess.
Oh, you should have done, man. It's very free.
No, no, I do it now. I didn't do it back then. I do it now. Yeah, like, well, the thing is, the thing, like you said, once again, it boils down to like the take on these type of shows. Like you just mentioned, the thing about Voltron. Voltron now, don't get me wrong, compared to Voltron back then, it's a natural progression, and in some ways it's a better show because, like I said, they've kept the essence, but they've made things a lot more relatable and a lot more true to life, as much as you can get true to life, to do with a story of 5 kids who own lions that can transform into a robot. You know what I mean? That there's consequences and things like that. And I hope that, and the thing is, when you look back at some of the shows that we used to watch as kids, the things that made it appealing was the fact that, it was just so, paper thin plots and two-dimensional villains. So I like the fact that doing that now might not fly with a bunch of us. And to be honest, is one of the reasons why I'm not sure about you guys, why we don't go back and watch those shows as often as we might think that we do. Because when we do watch them, for example, you might put on an old episode of like Transformers, Like I remember the last time I watched a Transformers cartoon, I saw the animation and I was like, that what that what? There was no mechanics as to how the robot transformed into the car. It was just shapes just moving in, like, and that upset me. So there's what you remember, there's what you're watching and how you remember it to be like. So I like the fact that they've taken She-Ra and there's going to be more of a serious spin on it, and hopefully, like, they stick to the essence of it, and they fucking do well with it. Sorry, I dropped an F-bomb there. And like you said before, Jason, this is a stark contrast to what they're trying to do with Thundercats. So I'm really interested to see how both of them are going to approach their end goal and how they're both going to be perceived as well. Well, another thing for the She-Ra reboot, well done to them for choosing to do a reboot of She-Ra and not He-Man. Yeah, because let's put it this way. I mean, back in the day, I think out of the two, as popular as She-Ra was, it was never as popular as He-Man. So now we're getting a lot more equality. So, and I mean, not saying that is a show that has a female protagonist, so only females are going to watch it. I'm excited to watch this. Anything to do with like geek culture, magic, fantasy, flying horses, swords, all that stuff. As long as it's written well, I'm actually happy for that. So I'm actually interested to see if they're actually going to see if this does well, if they're going to do a spin-off of He-Man. Not saying that they have to, but good on them for choosing a franchise which, if we're honest about it, wasn't as popular as what it span off from. So hopefully they do well with this, and they fucking make a difference. So yeah.
Yeah, no, fair point, man. Fair point and a good point. Yeah. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Alf, did you ever watch She-Ra, the original series at all?
Yeah, they were still showing that when I was a kid. So yeah, super vague memories about it though. But I did go out for lunch with a friend of mine like the other week, and there was like a group of people who were all dressed up as like various different superheroes, and there was one woman who was actually dressed up as She-Ra, and I just thought to myself, no one will probably know who the fuck that is.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I saw the costume and I just went, oh, She-Ra, innit? She's She-Ra, obviously. but yeah, I think what Netflix have kind of done with their animated shows and that, and like what Rich was saying about Voltron, it does seem quite positive at the moment that they will, like said, use the essence and come up with something new, make it different but familiar. And that's a difficult task. It's not easy, but I hope that's what they go for and they don't cop out and try something like really simple and cheap and just cheesy and crap. I hope they actually kind of flesh her out more, you know what I mean, and do cool shit with her, and make it a show that kind of like everyone can get into, man. Because I watched loads of episodes of Xena Warrior Princess, so there's no reason as to why I wouldn't watch a She-Ra freaking animated show as long as they made it good and they make it a bit older. Like if you get it the same age as the Voltron crowd, then I think I'll quite enjoy it. And if the animation's shit hot as well, I'll definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, man. Cool. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this thing up because we've been going on for a little while. But before we go, quick question for you both. Seeing as we're kind of in a realm where a lot of our cartoons are being rebooted and different things are being remade for a new generation. Just a quick question to you both. What cartoons would you like to see kind of rebooted and given, the millennial treatment, I guess, in terms of how it would fit in the modern day? I was talking to Alvin off air and I said Inspector Gadget because I think because of the type of character that Inspector Gadget was, it could translate very easily to the modern day because we live in an era where children understand how to operate iPads before they understand how to tie their own shoelaces. So we live in a technological age, and plus the character of Inspector Gadget was always a bit stupid, and it was more down to Penny and Brain the dog, who were actually kind of solving the cases for him, and he was just kind of blundering around doing his odd bits here and there. And I could see that kind of working with like this sort of generation, I guess, with this crowd, because the hero isn't really the hero; it's the other people who are the hero around him. But how about you, Lo? I mean, what do you think? Do you have any things that you think would work in this generation if you rebooted it for the 2018?
Yep.
Alvin?
Banana Man.
Oh yeah,
Who?
Banana Man.
Dead.
Banana Man. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that would actually work brilliantly as well. Yeah.
Do you want to know something, Alvin? Take that pitch to Jamie Oliver, and I guarantee you can get that done. I'm not even joking, man. Because yeah, it's like, although, like, speaking of your reboot, I never understood the reason why Banana Man and Apple Man had beef. Technically, you're both trying to do the same thing, which is, be one of your 5 a day for, for your kids to be healthy. So I don't know. I think that beef was created out of nowhere. That is.
That was manufactured beef, baby.
Yeah, it's manufactured beef. Yeah, it was tabloid beef. Piers Morgan was up in there, man. So,
Rich, how about you? Any cartoon that you can think of that you think might work well if you rebooted it in this day and age?
there's two. There used to be a cartoon. I think it was on Toonami, and it was called Mega XLR. I don't know if you guys ever watched that. And it was basically about a guy and his brother and his best friend who get given a big robot that basically then they have to participate in tournaments across the galaxy, just fighting. And it was them just being about just enjoying life and just fighting around in a robot. I don't know if you guys ever watched it. But yeah, but it was very much an adult cartoon as well, and an animation that was really, really done well as well. I'm gonna Google it and see if that's the name of it, but I'm sure it was called Mega XLR.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, you're right. It's like a blue robot.
Yeah, it was like a blue robot. But the person who was in charge, who actually did the voice, is actually a famous comedian. Well, not a famous comedian, but if you see his face, you'll recognize him from quite a few shows as well. And he actually portrayed the main character really, really well. And it was him that actually made the show really, quite interesting, and quite fun to watch. So there's that. I would say Samurai Pizza Cat, but that's a bit too easy. And the way how it was so tongue in cheek back then, I'm not necessarily sure if that's something that we need right now with a lot of reboots themselves not taking themselves seriously as well. So I'm not sure if Samurai Pizza Cats came out now, if that would work in the same vein, because it would be a show taking the piss out of itself while taking the piss out of its cartoons that are already out there, which are taking the piss out of themselves now. So I'm not sure if that would be able to fly. But just off the top of my head, you know what show I'd like to see? Braveheart. First cartoon with the main character. Braveheart.
Yeah,
sorry, Braveheart. Yeah, sorry, Brave Star. Yeah, Brave Star.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Freedom with animation.
On the millennial generation, bro. Jesus, they'll tear them apart.
Yeah, Brave Star. I'd like to see Brave Star. Just for the simple fact that it was a cartoon that was the main character was Native American. We don't get a lot of representation, and like I said, representation doesn't necessarily just isn't just necessarily like LGBT crowds or like or black people. There's so many people that aren't represented in whether it be in film, television, cartoons, whatever. But I think that much like Aborigines and Native Americans and let's say to a certain degree Maori people, they don't get a lot of fucking representation in a lot of stuff that we see now. And I think Braveheart, for when it came out, leaps and bounds for stuff that we probably take granted for. And it was a toy line and a cartoon that actually did pretty well. I think it got maybe like 2 seasons out of it, which compared to back then, when you look at shows and how long they lasted, and when you look at the person who was, the main character, did pretty well for itself. So I'd like to see that rebooted, and just see what they did with that. Especially, I'd like to see that cartoon rebooted just for the simple fact that number one, it was a good cartoon. Number two, just to give 2 freaking fingers to bloody Trump, or to people that bloody vote for Trump and believe in Trump's ideal. So yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, should have him there patrolling the flipping border and letting the immigrants in, innit?
Yeah.
Coming this way, guys. Yeah, cool. All right, thanks, guys. Well, that's about it for us. We're gonna wrap the show up because we've been going for quite a while. Before we go, I just want to say a big thank you to Rob Wade from Emotionally 14. As you should know by now, we are E14 endorsed. That means that we will be appearing on the Emotionally 14 website as well as where you usually pick up your podcasts from us. So make sure you head over to emotionally14.com and check out some of the other shows on there as well as us. And also to let you know that our friends May Amado will be starting a Kickstarter campaign very, very soon. We're going to bring you lots of details about that because it's very exciting what they're developing over there. And we'll let you know how you can get involved as well. All right, that's it. I'm going to say good night, man. I'm out. My throat's tired and I need to go toilet. So peace. I'm off. Rich say good night.
Good night.
And Alvin say peace.
Peace out.
Wicked. And we'll see you guys on the other side. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon. Yeah. Peace.